Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a minute since we've talked about some XDefiant news. Of course, the XDefiant beta went absolutely crazy. Apparently, according to Mark Rubin, just over 2.5 million people actually were on for the open beta a little while back, which is way more than they expected and probably a lot more than I think most people expected. And with that, that means they gathered a ton of data, a ton of feedback, which is great for launch here. But really, the last time we had the major hype for XDefiant was that open beta period. And ever since then, it's sort of just been a waiting game. They've repeatedly said that XDefiant's going to be dropping later on this summer. They revealed some of the launch content, some of the in-year content as well, but we really haven't heard anything much outside of that. Until this past week, where Mark Rubin has detailed a lot more about gameplay here and even given us some new launch update details, which is definitely nice to have some official confirmations now as we actually approach the launch time frame. So as we get into everything here today, quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel, you want to guarantee you're always up to date, feel free to hit that subscribe button to know whenever I post a new video. And if you guys enjoy this one, do me a favor, drop a like on it, would be seriously appreciated. But just a couple of days back, there were a lot of leaks, a lot of rumors going around the XDefiant Twitter space, or X space if we're actually going to call it that, regarding how the game apparently was approved via the PEGI rating board, or whatever you want to refer to that as. And there was a lot of misinformation going around saying, okay, if it's approved now, it's going to be dropping here soon. And there's been a lot of hype going on regarding this whole YouTube gaming world's greatest tournament thing that's going on that Ludwig is doing, and XDefiant's going to be a part of it. So a lot of people were saying, oh, that means that XDefiant has to launch by the time that this world's greatest tournament stream thing is going to be happening. Well, Mark Rubin has gone into some specific details here regarding the state of XDefiant. So he initially posted a couple of days back saying, so I've seen the PEGI approvals going live and creating some rumors about the game being approved. This is not the case. It literally just means that PEGI has approved the rating that they have assigned to the game. So, obviously every game gets rated E for everyone, T for teen, M, whatever the case may be. So it's quite literally just the fact that PEGI approved the rating for XDefiant here. It's completely disconnected from actual submission, which is the stage that they're in now, where they're submitting the game to have it fully approved on all platforms so they can go ahead and actually do their full-on launch. Now, Mark also follows this up by saying, I'm hoping to have another update soon, and just so it makes sense, what we are doing during our submission process is something we have to do. Every single game that does, a full launch like this has to do this. When we are allowed to launch is dependent on the submission process. We are not just able to release the game whenever they want. So just a bit more clarification on how you might have seen over the past week, hey, XDefiant's got some approvals. It's not the full-on approval that we're pretty much all waiting for here to actually see the game launch in full. But then Mark also goes on to clarify even more what to expect for launch here, which is definitely nice. So as I said, there's been a lot of talk about this whole world's greatest stream and whatnot, and how XDefiant's a part of it, leading people to believe that it could be launching this weekend with this stream. But Mark actually clarified saying, I feel it too. I wish the game was coming out this weekend, but we have to abide by the process. Again, they can't just release it whenever they want. But then he completely reveals here, we will not be shadow dropping it, so you will have time to preload, etc. So what this actually officially now confirms for the XDefiant launch update is that this is not just going to happen completely by surprise. You're not going to wake up one random Tuesday and XDefiant will have randomly dropped overnight. What Mark is actually confirming here is that before XDefiant is released and launched fully worldwide, they are going to have an official announcement saying, hey, XDefiant is launching on X date, no pun intended there, but it's going to be launching on this day at this time. Be prepared. It's going to have a standard launch date like what we'd see for the majority of titles nowadays, right? So there's not going to be a shadow drop for it and it just randomly releases by surprise. Now, Mark does also confirm that there is in fact going to be preloading available for this as well, which would sort of insinuate that once we get a full-on reveal for the game's actual launch date, it's going to be, a few days out, maybe a week or so out, so that everyone actually has time to see that news, see, okay, it's launching on this date and time, and they'll have time to go through and actually preload the game, have it fully downloaded ahead of time so that when it does launch, you can jump on right away and not have to worry about downloading the entire game and waiting to get on when that does happen. Now, keep in mind, they haven't officially said if they are sticking to their plan of launching this summer or not. Like, they haven't technically delayed the launch of the game yet, which would mean that if it's launching this summer, we have, I think, until September 22nd or September 23rd. That's technically the last day of summer officially, if you want to go by the book, right? So couple of weeks away still. Obviously, that means that hopefully in the coming days we're going to have an official announcement and an official reveal talking about when XDefiant is going to be releasing. And of course, when the time comes, obviously I'm going to keep you guys updated, so stay tuned for that by hitting that subscribe button. But in theory, this could be happening in just a couple of weeks, maybe even sooner, if they are sticking to their original schedule. But as Mark says there, obviously they have to do things by the book. They have to wait for full-on approval, and whenever that process is completed, they'll be able to go ahead and set up the full launch there. So it's nice to have some actual official details on that, something that we really haven't had clarified up until this point. Now, real quick, outside of that, Mark has also spilled some details on some other gameplay elements that I've seen a lot of questions about pretty much every time I've covered XDefiant up until this point, specifically in regards to the anti-cheat. Obviously, we're primarily Call of Duty here, and we know Ricochet has had its ups and downs, and cheating has been a major problem in Call of Duty for several years now. So looking towards other games, there's always gonna be the question of, okay, well, what's the anti-cheat gonna be like here? And when asked about the anti-cheat and you know, whether or not we'd get details on it, Mark basically said they are using the Battle Eye anti-cheat, which has been known, so obviously a pretty common one for a lot of different games. However, they are not going to talk about any other aspects of their anti-cheat, as it can provide cheat makers with further insights. And this is sort of the same situation that we have with Ricochet within Call of Duty. We rarely ever see updates and communication about Ricochet when it gets updates or things that are going on behind the scenes, because that does inform people who make cheats, you know, how certain things are working, and then maybe they can counter it easily and have cheats that bypass the anti-cheat because of that. So they're not going to be talking much on the actual anti-cheat or detailing specific updates, but it is confirmed they are using the Battle Eye anti-cheat, and they are actively like paying attention to that stuff, which again is nice to see. And of course, Mark has been pretty transparent pretty much throughout the entire dev process of XDefiant, which is very refreshing, constantly engaging with the community, answering questions and giving further insights that we usually don't get. So that's definitely super cool. But all that being said, that's effectively everything we now know about the XDefiant launch update with some of these new details. That is going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it, would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new here, you want to guarantee you are always up to date with everything going on, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.